In February 1989, New York was awash with a new phenomenon, Di-mania. The novelty of a visiting royal, especially the glamorous Princess Diana, created plenty of excitement in the city, not to mention a lot of dodgy merchandise. But this was to be no ordinary royal visit. I'm Anita Rani, and this is Beneath the Crown. By 1989, Diana had experienced or arguably endured several foreign tours alongside her husband, Prince Charles, to places like Australia and New Zealand in 1983 and Japan in 1986. At 27 years old, Diana's first official solo trip overseas was to New York City. The purpose, as per usual, was to promote British industries abroad, and the focal point was supposed to be a royal gala honouring the American debut of the Welsh National Opera, of which she was a patron. Diana was under immense scrutiny from the American press before she'd even set foot in the city. The New York Post described her as the most famous welfare mother in the world. Others branded her a clothes horse, and her shopping trips were expected to make the most headlines. There were also fears about pro-IRA demonstrations by New York's Irish-American community. By representing the British monarchy, Diana was seen as a symbol of imperialist oppression in Northern Ireland. Security was tight, so her itinerary was not made public. Diana had been targeted by the IRA before in an unsuccessful bomb plot in July 1983 at a Duran Duran concert at London's Dominion Theatre. She also faced mounting conflict with Charles and the wider royal family as her marriage continued to disintegrate behind closed doors.
I'm starting to properly loathe you!
What's taking you so long? The rest of us have been there for some time!
The stakes were high for Diana. Could she show the world that she's a woman of substance as well as a woman of style? Could she take control of her own narrative? Diana flew to Kennedy International Airport in New York by Concorde. For the brief tour, she was without her children and had a stripped-down entourage of just 5 staff. Her hairdresser was not among them, so she did her own hair throughout the trip with the help of some heated Carmen rollers. Diana's arrival was broadcast live on many television stations. She then headed straight from the airport to a cocktail party, woman after my own heart, held by the US branch of the Scottish cashmere company Dawson International. The event at New York's Equitable Centre didn't do much to get rid of her clothes horse label. She spent most of the evening speaking to notable fashion designers and being gawped at by the 150 guests. So far, so royal. But the next day had a twist in store. Diana chose to visit deprived areas of Manhattan, usually ignored by the rich and famous. The locals were delighted, not just to see Diana, but because the city government gave the area a good clean-up in advance, knowing how far the pictures would travel. Diana visited the Henry Street Settlement in Alphabet City, an organisation that provides social services, arts and healthcare programmes for the community, and separate shelters for families facing homelessness and victims of domestic violence. The location for this shelter, visited by Diana, away from the media spotlight, continues to be kept secret from the public because of the need to provide a safe and secure space for the victims. Diana's next stop was a huge contrast, a toy shop on Manhattan's Fifth Avenue for the opening of an exhibition of British toys. The toy shop also featured a $72 doll of Diana in a wedding dress, although the princess was apparently unaware of its presence. And then, with barely a pause for breath, but time for an impressive outfit change, it was off to Brooklyn for the event designed to be the centrepiece of the tour, a royal gala production of Falstaff by the Welsh National Opera. Diana was met with protests from supporters of the IRA, but this didn't cause the level of disruption her team feared. All eyes appeared to be on Diana's stunning white and gold bolero dress instead. Diana's attention turned to the opera, but the focus of the crowd was centred on her. After the performance, Diana greeted the cast of the production before heading straight off to a $1,000 a plate bash at the Winter Garden to raise funds for the Welsh National Opera. The luxurious nature of the evening could not be more at odds with the scenes witnessed earlier at the Henry Street Settlement or the next day at Harlem Hospital. Almost 2 years earlier, in April 1987, Diana generated a lot of press coverage when she opened the first purpose-built ward for patients with AIDS and HIV-related diseases at Middlesex Hospital in London, and shook the hand of a man with AIDS. AIDS was a cause very close to her heart. Now it was time to extend more compassion and break down barriers on a global scale. Her visit to Harlem Hospital on February the 3rd would go down in history as a defining moment for her and also for millions of AIDS sufferers around the world. Diana made a private visit to the AIDS ward where she held the hands of dying babies and comforted their mothers.
The princess wanted to know about AIDS babies who also suffer from their mother's drug habit.
When you have the problem with the drugs, how on earth are you going to cope with AIDS as well?
Dr. Margaret Hegarty, Chief of Paediatrics at the Harlem Hospital, later spoke to the media about what happened.
This hospital has been delighted with this charming young woman who showed with great sensitivity and compassion and interest and concern for poor children.
That historic visit concluded Princess Diana's brief but groundbreaking tour to New York. Many anticipated that Diana's New York trip would lead to a frenzy of frivolous coverage on shopping sprees and dazzling dresses. But what emerged were headlines about Diana's public displays of compassion for those far less privileged than the royal family. Diana's visit helped to break down AIDS-related stigmas, and her actions led to a surge in adoption requests for HIV-positive children. Her newfound confidence and common touch with the public would be all the more important as her quest for independence drew her towards greater conflict with the royal family. Their power and status relied on projecting the image that they were not common at all.